Look, I'll level with you. There's going to be some rude words, probably an adult theme or two. Just remember, these are our opinions. Go get your own.
3, 2, 1.
That's quite thick, actually.
I finally killed him, and it wasn't skill. It was enough monkeys and enough typewriters.
And he is just screaming his own name very loudly in Japanese.
Basically, calling me a bitch and sending me back to train. Killed it. I've never felt good about it. Didn't enjoy it. Just wanted it to end.
It definitely, for me, felt harder earlier on.
Had my shit pushed in. This nuclear warhead thing now starts to make sense.
I don't have any friends.
Pitch.
I'm already sort of a basic bitch. I love balls. Welcome to episode 4, guys.
Smashing. Hello. Episode 4. Really snowballing these days, aren't we?
Episode 4. Who'd have thought?
And today's big news, we are bored.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing to do. I mean, there is snow outside, so there's some small children for you to shout at again, Jack.
Oh, yeah. Well, I managed to build a second snowman yesterday, and this one is quite nearly my height. I think he's about 4 foot, 4.5 foot now. I didn't steal any of their snow. I was the bigger man, the grown-up adult, and yeah, it feels good.
I can imagine you were out there middle of the night with like a salt shaker, just sprinkling it over their drive and garden, spoiling the fun, revenge, eh?
Yeah, I think I maybe have the advantage this time because our neighbour has COVID, so their kids aren't living with her. So
okay.
I don't think they were like within range. So maybe I should have stolen the snow, but they did come to check on the mum. I could have asked permission to steal their snow then, but actually what I was doing, I was taking the snow off the road. Yeah, I was doing my civil service duty. I was out there cleaning up the road with this big ball of ice, and the snow lady, because we used ivy to make her hair, she's sat at the end of the drive waving at people. Yeah, it's nice vibes. It's good, happy vibes.
I haven't been out in the snow.
It is warming up now though, so she's just gonna look slowly like more or less enthusiastic as the day goes along. Her arms are going to start drooping, her hair's going to fall out, and it's going to be a sad scene. But yeah, snow.
It has been snowing here all day, probably for, I don't know, probably 8-9 hours now. It's quite thick, actually. I'll have to go out later. I probably won't build a snowman, but I will. I will go for a walk in the snow. It'll be nice. But that is probably also, we've talked about snow for the last minute or so. That's about the most interesting thing that's happened since we last had a podcast.
Yeah, on our gaming podcast, we've talked about snow, which kind of says it all.
Yeah. I mean, there's just there is a drought, of titles. There are essentially no new titles of merit in my eyes that have come out really since the consoles have released. And you could argue Cyberpunk came out, but that's sort of by the by. We've discussed that.
Half of Cyberpunk came out.
Exactly, half of Cyberpunk came out. So you either played the sort of the beta, or you didn't. Yeah. When outside of that, I really don't feel like there's been much that's been going on. I mean, you haven't played your Xbox in over a week now, which does, to some people, they'll be like, well, that's not much over a week, but that's quite strange for you to have not come on at all.
Yeah. I mean, I've got one ending to Cyberpunk left to do for, the little achievement hunting.
Yeah.
We've got Sekiro. I've had a turbulent relationship with that game, and seeing as I didn't pay for it, I have no real inclination to go back to it. Yeah, it's just...
Sekiro is a game that is just... I mean, it has no difficulties. And you would think, a game that has no difficulties, then surely they make the default difficulty quite accessible. Absolutely not. That is a game that I think takes great pleasure in kicking your ass. It is a trial by fire. You learn it quickly, or I think you put it down and never play it again, to be honest.
Yeah, and Dan was the former and I was the latter.
Yeah.
I spent about 2 hours trying to, not even a titled enemy, just a general in the middle of a mission. I was like, I'm not going to run past him. I can run past him. I'm not going to because I need to learn how to fight this guy. And then I finally killed him, and it wasn't skill. It was enough monkeys and enough typewriters.
The works of Shakespeare were written.
Exactly. I walked about 200 metres and immediately there was another one, and instead this guy is now on a horse and is a titled guy.
He has the best introduction though, where he just screams on his horse in the arena, just shouts his own name.
Yeah.
And I
That's how I wish to enter most rooms from now on.
I mean, I assume it's his own name because I play the game by default plays in Japanese with subtitles, English subtitles.
Yeah.
So I assume that the subtitles are correct, and he is just screaming his own name very loudly
Yeah.
in Japanese, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But certainly that game is a game that it takes great pleasure in kicking your ass, and I think that was part of the appeal. I think is it's supposed to be one of these challenging titles, isn't it? It's certainly rewarding when you master it. I would say actually, and I think I said this to you, Mark, before. I've done quite a few sort of challenging things in many games over the years. So certain like extreme difficulty challenges and sometimes like speedrun challenges and things like that. I would say overall, sort of all things considered, if you could say that Sekiro is the hardest game I've played, I think.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Especially considering there are essentially no sort of bitch outs you can do. You can't even just I just want to play the story. It's like, well, no, there are no difficulty settings. You get good or you don't play, essentially.
Yeah. So it's one of these games where I felt like it was laughing at me the whole time. Here's some reasons why. I started the game. There isn't a tutorial per se. There's a guy that you can kill over and over again. But I did the guy I could kill, and at that point there was only like 3 basic moves you could use. So I pretty much got the grips of those. Went off towards basically like level 1. Route 1 on the way out of Pallet Town, and I did reasonably well until I got to one of these general guys that I was bitching about earlier, and I ran past him because you could. I just thought that was an element of, if the game has sneak mechanics, make the most of it, sneak past him. And then I started dying. It was this big ogre thing.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's just flailing around. Just like, to be honest, it's got a pretty good wrestling career, and it's got the people's elbow. There's a couple of drop kicks in there, And I was stuck on this thing for like 2.5 hours, and it got to the point where I died so many times. The game sent me back to the starting area next to this guy who could train you, and then it said something like a weeping maiden curse or something, basically calling me a bitch and sending me back to train. And then it should have just laughed. It should have just had like a laughter mechanic built in every time I died, and just reset me back at the start. I've never been so patronised by a game.
The thing is, it is really rewarding once you get to grips with it. Actually, I'd say more than anything about that game, it becomes like, it's quite a rhythmic game. Like the combat is very sort of rhythmic based once you get used to it, I think. It's a bit like, people always talk about like sword fights historically, like it can be almost like a dance, like you move, they move, etc. Like reacting to the other person. Like the game very much feels like that. It feels very good to play once you've got to grips with it. But it is an absolute slog, an uphill struggle to get to that point. It really was.
The thing is, you had that mentality where you felt rewarded by it. I only ever felt a sigh of relief when I've never felt good about it, didn't enjoy it, just wanted it to end. There was one nice moment where there was a cool sort of mystical creature that you had to sneak past. That was really interesting, nice part of the game. I really liked it, and that was the one part of the game I liked, was not doing any of it, just
and it's great because there are so many good moments like that within it, but to get to them you have to get past whatever his name was, Screamy Horseman.
Which at the time looked like a brick wall, so I'm not gonna I bashed my head on it a few times, and they were didn't even make a dent. So
I think it honestly though, I think actually to some extent it does a good job of this, because it definitely for me felt harder earlier on. Like, don't get me wrong, there were very hard bosses late into the game, but it was in general more of a challenge early on, and I think that's smart of them to do that, because I feel it's less frustrating to people to get a very small part way through the game and then realise, okay, I'm not going to be able to do this isn't for me, than it is to get 2/3 through it and then just hit a wall and have to stop. So, like, at least you found out early on, I'm not willing to do this. It's not for me. And then you put it down, rather than getting 2/3 of the way through, I think.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So, of course, I retreated back to my safe place of playing Pokemon.
Where you've also been getting your ass kicked over and over.
Had my shit pushed in. So we talked about in the deep dive the sort of the competitive scene online, building a team. You got to EV train everything. Dan's lent me one of his Pokemons because I was doing so badly.
Zapdos has gone out on loan. Big summer move.
Big January, big transfer market. Hoping that it's a short term loan. Hopefully can keep us back up in the league. But yeah, it's been tough. There's basically like 4 Pokemon that are just win buttons unless you have direct counters.
And even they are few far in
And
between.
yeah, I refuse to just build my team of just counter Pokemon. Like my fave is Scizor, and I'm determined to get to Master Ball with Scizor. Dan, you picked up this challenge, didn't you? You managed it in about 100 and something games.
Yeah, I mean, managed it is
Yeah.
probably an apt phrase. It was
Yeah.
it was a struggle because I, like you, didn't want to fill my team with the same selection that seemed to be prevalent because they're clearly superior. When people talk about like the meta, right? For those that aren't really familiar with that term, essentially, I mean, this happens in every game. It essentially amounts to, in any competitive environment, people are going to pick the tools that lead to the most likely probability of success. Right, it's the same as in like FIFA. People will pick. There's a lot of like 5-star teams, and actually, talk about FIFA doing something positive for once. I think FIFA attempts to balance you based on what team you pick against another player. Maybe Pokemon could learn from that. But like within the 5-star teams on FIFA, there are clearly some 5-star teams that are superior to others, right? And those are more likely to get picked. I imagine. I haven't played FIFA competitively in a while, but I imagine people are picking like PSG, Liverpool, etc. But anyway, same within Pokemon, but I refuse to do that because like one of the allures of Pokemon, I think, has always been the ability to pick the ones you like and try and like carve out your own team.
Yeah.
And it has been possible, but boy was it a challenge. It really was. I mean, I did have to say I lent Jack Zapdos. Zapdos is one of the currently good Pokemon. I had to fill a couple of spots on my team with the good Pokemon when I came
You have to have
getting
deterrence.
close.
This nuclear warhead thing now starts to make sense. You got to have one sat at the back so that other people don't bring them. Yeah.
Your Cinder Nuke.
Exactly.
Sat at the back of your team.
Oh, that
gosh.
cunt. It's now like it's an anger like Pavlovian condition to just get a little bit angry when they hear his name or see a picture of him. The Cinderace. Just I have to call him Scum just so I don't think of him.
Yeah, I think they would benefit a lot from attempting in some way to pair people based on, some form of statistic to try and get more even matches. But it's not like that. And it has been a struggle, hasn't it? But I managed it, and it took me a lot of games, like over 100, as Jack said, and you're still on the way, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Master Ball like rank 12, 11? I'm on
It's
8, 9, dancing between the two.
So it's not a number, but it technically would be 11. So there's essentially 10 ranks you get through, and then you get to Master Ball. So
Right.
it stops having a number at that point.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is I've had some comments. I don't know if you had that. I'm now the Pokemon guy, Dan. Mainly because all we've talked about really in the deep dives is Pokemon so far. And,
I don't have any friends, so no one comments.
All right. No, fair enough. And none of them have listened to the pod, so
yeah. My only friend didn't bother listening. So.
Because he made it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I feel like we need to diversify the sort of games we talk about a bit, and I thought one of the ways we could do it, or one of the pitches I've made to you is this sort of idea of franchises or games sort of explained to at varying levels of understanding. So have like a granny buying her grandchild a Christmas present level video, 5 minutes long, explaining what this game is about. Then a sort of console owner level person who sort of plays games and wants to know about it. And then like an achievement hunter grade where we go in depth about the game and talk about, the mechanics of it. And so we'd make a few short pods about each game we're interested in. Like I could finally talk about Assassin's Creed, get that out of my system, cathartic. You could talk about, well, I mean, which one would you do? We talked briefly about this. You said DMC5 is one that you played big scale, but I mean, which ones would you target?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I'd have to have a look through, I think. Pick out probably a couple of titles that I think I have a lot of experience with the series for. Watch this space, I guess. I don't have any ideas right now, but
so if that's an idea you like, comment. No, but
be our first comment.
Tell me maybe. Yeah, exactly. We've had. Exactly. Have we had zero?
I think we had. Well, you did have a comment from someone.
Oh.
Not sure if that's just your mum again, sort of saying, "Well done, boys."
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. She's such an ardent follower, my mum. She's great.
She listens every week.
There is a discussions board thing on the YouTube channel. We could maybe like try and utilize that facility, perhaps.
I'm actually really not familiar with YouTube at all, although that is our chosen platform. I have absolutely no idea how any of these
Maybe
features
we
work.
should. Yeah.
I do feel now like I've already reached the point where I'm already sort of a basic bit user of like social media now. I was sort of up to date with what was going on, you know, back when I was at university, and things like Snapchat and stuff were relatively new. Like I don't have a TikTok account. I don't even have an Instagram account. I don't use any of this stuff. I've already been left by the wayside, I think.
God, I mean, maybe you could like use the podcast Instagram to just a bit like the Pope liking Italian models. You know, maybe you could just go and use it a little bit and see what you think of the platform. And if you don't like it, you can put it down again.
Like pretend that I don't understand it and do like an Ed Balls type situation where he like tweeted his own name because I think he was trying to search for himself or something.
Yeah. Lol.
I love Ed Balls Day. I think it's fantastic that people still recognise that. Yeah, I mean, I'll have to take a look at our social media, which I've largely left to you, to be honest.
Yes. I was going to start posting selfies and see if you noticed.
I don't have Instagram, so I certainly won't notice.
Exactly.
But you do you, Jack. You do you.
Yeah, exactly. You know, maybe go for the Belle Delphine sort of style, but as dudes. You know?
I know who she is because she trends on Twitter, and then I very much wish I hadn't clicked on the trend. Actually, I assume now she's moved into based on the Twitter hashtag. I don't know if you knew who she was before, but she seems to now be some OnlyFans person.
Yeah.
But her material was quite suspect, shall we say? And I'm not going to say any more about this because I don't want our podcast to become a place associated with commenting on that stuff. But I do actually know who she is because of Twitter, which is one of the last remaining bastions of social media that I still own. So,
well, you're Redditor as well.
Yeah, but I'm more of a like long-time viewer, sort of
lurker.
Yeah, rather than
Grandad.
I don't comment or anything like that. I barely sign in. I just sort of peruse subreddits. I don't know. I find with most of this stuff, like YouTube, I don't sign into YouTube. Do you?
I do. How else would we upload it, Dan? Come on, mate.
I mean, of course we sign in then. But, you know, when I'm just like going and watching videos on YouTube, I rarely sign in. I just don't feel like I have a need for it necessarily. I can see the convenience of having like playlists and people you follow and finding out what they've uploaded. But because I don't comment or anything, most of the time I just don't bother signing in.
Which is really not going to help our viewing figures.
Yeah, so please comment and like our video, which I clearly do for all of the people that I watch and listen to.
Yeah.
With my non-existent signing in.
Yeah, I usually use it for like DIY around the house. Like, is this possible? Oh, it is possible. Someone's done it online.
And then you try and replicate it and the house burns down.
I mean, an example of this was I was trying to get a screw out of something which had been stripped at the top. And there was loads of different. Here's an idea you might want to try. And one of them is put a rubber band between the end of the screwdriver and the screw, and that's supposed to like help make a tighter fit and stuff. And it just didn't work either. It was a faff getting the band on. It was a faff trying to do it, and it didn't work in the end. So yeah, I just got my Dremel out and sheared in and cut in some flat edges to get some pliers on.
I was going to say there are definitely a few videos on YouTube that I do revisit from time to time. Videos that were uploaded like almost when YouTube began as well. Like one of them is how to tie a Windsor knot correctly, because I never remember because I put a tie on so infrequently now. I usually only ever bother doing a proper Windsor knot when it comes to like a wedding or something.
Got that link saved somewhere so you can look at it
but
again.
I always go back to the same video, and I'm pretty sure it was uploaded when YouTube began. Someone straight away was like, I'm going to upload a video of how to do a Windsor knot. Back when YouTube was sort of useful and wasn't just hi guys, buy this product that I got for free but also really definitely like and would have told you to buy anyway.
Or like just two twats sat behind a mic talking about video games all day,
Yeah, exactly, that bollocks as well.
Yeah. And on that note, we're over our 20 minutes.
We've stuck to the 20 minutes really well for all the other episodes as well.
Yeah, so
wasn't the last one like 40 something?
Yes, a joy for you to edit.
Yeah, definitely not trying to drag this one on because you're doing the editing. Maybe I'll just start saying things that you have to cut out.
Oh, good. And I'll just put them at the start instead.
Yeah. Welcome to episode 4, guys.
Yeah. I mean, that would be useful if you could open with that. I'll move that back to the start.
It's true. I didn't really think about the fact you could just sort of move it around and make it work.
Yeah. I'll start sort of maliciously putting together sentences, making you say some awful things, and put it on the internet. Yeah.
Whatever. Right. It was, I wouldn't go as far as saying it was a pleasure, but it wasn't really a chore.
Good. All right. Bye.